Rushing Manhua. Hello everyone! In the last chapters we saw how our protagonist's prison escape unfolded. We stopped where two elite guards were discussing about capturing everyone who was causing problems and wanted to escape. At the last moment we saw that they received help from a support team which passed on information about the prisoners, such as their location and number, but apparently they suspect that there is someone manipulating this information. Ipeco spent a lot of mana in his last fight, so from now on they need to avoid combat. The protagonist asks what they should do to continue at this point. According to her, they must break a hole in the wall. However, they suddenly find themselves guy with a guard who calls her by name and says that the hallways were cleaned by Doffel. The guard gets scared, but the cat girl seems happy. He asks her what's going on and she explains that a friend of hers can infect people. This way, she can control the infected for up to a day. Then several controlled guards begin to arrive. According to them, all the corridors to the escape route are clear, but the two have to hurry to arrive within 2 minutes. As they pass the guards, one of them delivers something that Ipeco had asked for before. The protagonist asks what that is, and she responds that it is a magical device to prevent Gwena from attacking them. For now, Kim must use her ability to guard the artifact. After that, they arrive in a room. Ipeco says that the escape route is that way and they must climb to the ceiling. There, they exit into a hangar of the building they were in, where there are aerial supply vehicles. According to the girl, due to the giant size of Gwena, and because it is an aerial prison, each building operates with supply vehicles. This is the only way out of there. And of course, it is impossible for other prisoners to get there. The protagonist wonders if he will finally be able to get out of that damn prison. He also doesn't know where Natania ended up, she went suddenly. At that moment, a man arrives saying that he saw the girl controlling the guards' minds with a virus. Because it spreads very quickly, it is difficult to get accurate information in this situation, but he managed to see them both. With a strange dart in his hand, he states that he will kill them. He throws the dart towards the protagonist's head. Ipeco shouts at him out of fear, but just as the dart was going to hit his eye, the storage ability is activated and the protagonist succeeds. It was a close call. The man is left alert. This is the individual with the storage ability, and apparently he can store flying projects too. Faced with this situation, Kim notices that the sweat on his face has started to freeze. Then the man takes out another dart while telling the protagonist that that's right. He has the ability to freeze and kill anyone. Suddenly, a flashback. The Iceman talking to another man who calls himself Keelip. The Iceman identifies himself as Isaac from the second floor, and the Keelip rhetorically asks if he is responsible for the lower floors and tells him to move on. Ice Cream tells Keelip that he heard that he was training a knight lately, and he replies that the training is already finished. Isaac also says that he read the report about Kim Seo-jun, and something peculiar in this case. He killed Princess Natania and the Menhur in an instant. It's not strange that no one remembers this moment. Plus, Kim stated that there was someone else there. Keelip cuts in saying that there is solid evidence that Kim is the culprit. There are traces of mana, and the mana is like a fingerprint. The color and wavelength differ from person to person. The trace of mana in the princess's hourglass matches that of Kim, so it can be concluded that he is just a lunatic killer talking nonsense. The man becomes thoughtful about he's just a common killer. Isaac throws 2 more darts at Prota, but he only manages to save one and the other hits him. The cat girl quickly asks if he is okay, but he is very cold. Part of his face is frozen and his eye is bleeding, the Iceman says, which can kill him without even touching a finger on him. Ipeco helps the protagonist to get up and more darts are thrown, but her ability prevents the projectiles from reaching the targets. At that moment, she uses the field to distort where they are. Iceman asks if this is some kind of conspiracy by the Empire or the Kingdom. As it is absurd, Gehenna is supposed to be a neutral zone. Around him, several projectiles appear, so he looks at one of the aerial vehicles and throws a dart and freezes its door. Anyway, Kim can't get out. The protagonist, hiding, listening to what he says, wonders if maybe it is the Kingdom or the Empire that is trying to get him out. Ipeco says that he must conserve his mana to use as a last resort, so he will no longer use his skills. The Prota looks at him with a look of fear. From now on, they must go without using their mana. To reach the objective, their overload will be essential. Fighting the mobile team twice was definitely not the plan. The Prota wonders if Natania abandoned him or ran away. From now on, he must fight in Ipeco's place. Will he be able to win? Suddenly, several guards arrive behind the man and grab him. He wonders how apparently many were infected. One of the guards then says that the non-magical transport had just started. The vehicle has already been refueled. At that moment, even with several people holding it, the man manages to grab a dart, and as they climb into the vehicle, he throws it in the direction of Ipeco. But the Prota already manages to master his skill, and before it hits the girl, he stores it. All the guards knock the man to the ground and immobilize him. But even on the ground, he asks the Prota if he thinks he will really be free like this, if he thinks there is useless justice, whether the Empire or the Kingdom, they just want to use him. No matter which side he chooses, his future will be hell. Biting himself with anger, the protagonist says he doesn't give a damn about it. He just wants to get out of this place. They torture people who were called, and this world without a choice. The protagonist says that this world would be better without them, and the man retorts saying that that's what someone from Earth has to say about them, even considering that he was the one who killed Princess Nathania. At that moment, the protagonist gets excited and shouts that he didn't kill her. Why don't they listen to him? Ipeco says that he just wants to buy time. The Prota should calm down and get into the non-magical transport so they can go quickly. Inside the vehicle, she tells the Prota that he seems to feel like he was treated very unfairly. She's just following orders, so she can't reveal much. But I wanted to comment on that. In the place where they go, if they get too carried away so they're done dead, Ipeco says he doesn't know how comfortable the land is, but there he must keep a cool head, always remain calm and controlled. It's better to kill than be killed, and using his skills and magic in combat is essential. After so much effort, he escaped. Not to be killed as the key, that would be sad for her. Then one of the controlled guards holding the man tells them to go and says that the operation was a success. At that moment, the Iceman apologizes and gets up braking as he made the guard turn to ice, so he starts running in the direction of the vehicle. Ipeco says he didn't want to use the overload at that moment, but when the man is about to touch the means of transport, it activates. The man wonders if it is using distortion again. As it looks different, it practically made a hole black. This is her last act. The man escapes the attack with a hook gun, and Ipeco falls to the ground coughing blood. She asks the Prota to listen. The autopilot is set and will fly to Gehenna. He must take the magical artifact that he stored before. But at that moment, she faints and falls. The Prota doesn't know what to do, and the Iceman appears on top of the vehicle. He says that it looks like the side effects are happening and explains that the overload of skill is not that simple. It consumes a lot of mana, and depending on the skill, it can cost more than that, especially if you don't have enough mana to use it more powerfully. This way, you could die. The protagonist's face shows apprehension. The user of the ability must know if it is really worth using it, because if it isn't, it could backfire just like it did at that moment. The man begins to incessantly knock on the glass of the ship to break it and gain entry. At that moment, the Prota runs to the girl and tries to store her with his skill. But in the attempt, he realizes that there is no way to store living beings. Ipeco is in the unconscious on the ground, and the man doesn't stop cracking the glass. Kim finds himself without a choice, and grabbing the girl, he looks at the parachute plate and activates the magical artifact to hide the aircraft. He will do whatever is necessary. The Iceman breaks the glass of the ship, and with the hook gun he enters. He wonders if he should return to Gehenna. He also realizes that the prison automations did not identify anything, and considers that the duo brought a magical artifact for this. So, anyway, it's just a low-quality hero. He alone will be able to deal with it. So he goes into the cargo hold, since Ipeco and the Prota weren't in the cabin. There he sees something suspicious behind a box and throws a dart. But it was just a weapon. Suddenly, an energy beneath him. The Prota generates a large box, and the man jumps to get away from it. He thinks the Prota is under the stairs, so he shoots there. But the protagonist appears next to him and generates a weapon and releases a burst. Even though he was so close, he only managed to land 2 shots. The ice cream states that he had underestimated the Prota. He thought that his ability could only take and place objects in a more useless way, but the protagonist fights better than expected. At that moment, he runs behind some boxes and the Prota continues shooting, but the man manages to use the hook gun to go to another room. There, he shouts for Kim to throw the gun away and go in. Then he goes to the door, aiming the gun. And again, the man tells him to throw the gun out and take a step inside. If he is the slightest attempt at action will kill the Prota. There is the engine room. Kim wonders how, if the woman hadn't been there perhaps. The man states that it would really be difficult, and asks him rhetorically if she isn't the one who knows the details of the plan. He tells Kim to surrender, so he would do everything to postpone his execution as much as possible. The information the woman has would be valuable to Gehenna. If the protagonist is lucky, he might even be free from execution. The protagonist's plan has already failed. After hearing all this with his face showing trust, the Prota throws his gun and puts his hands up. The man says it's okay. He also wanted him to calm down in a calm way like that, and tells Kim to kneel down and raise his hands slowly. If he tries anything, the deal ends. He must surrender in peace. The protagonist slowly bends down, stating that he has no intention of doing anything in this world. All he wants is to return to his original world. He quickly touches the ground and activates his skill. A piece of the floor opened. The deal was over. That's all, guys. Leave a like and subscribe to follow the next videos. If you want to continue this work or there is another one that you want to become a video, comment below. Bye.